Whenever we open our feeds or read the news lately, we kind of talk about AI like it's this alien entity, right? Like it's some hyper advanced intelligence beamed down from the future to either solve all our problems or, take all our jobs. We literally treat it like magic. But if you actually dig into the underlying code, you're not going to find a soul in the machine. What you'll find instead is, well, you'll find us. Every seemingly original poem, every crazy complex line of code, every mind-bending image generated by an AI, it's actually just a reflection. It's a technological echo of humanity. So in this explainer, we're going to explore this concept. We call it the data mirror, and really get into how AI actually sees our world.
So let's just bust the myth of the AI soul right out of the gates. We have this habit of asking AI to predict the future, like it's some magic crystal ball with all the answers. But fundamentally, it's a rearview mirror. AI doesn't experience the world through senses or consciousness or gut intuition. It understands reality strictly through the massive digital footprint we've already left behind. It's essentially a technological echo chamber. It only knows what we've already said, what we've already painted, and what we've already coded.
So what's the actual glass of this mirror made of? Well, it's built from massive data sets with names like the Common Crawl. You can think of this as a giant digital warehouse. Imagine billions of data points. We're talking the entirety of Wikipedia, absolutely endless Reddit threads, decades of digitized books, massive image libraries, all just being poured into a giant funnel. We're talking petabytes of data here. That's enough to fill tens of millions of tall filing cabinets stuffed to the absolute brim with paper. And this isn't just cold, raw data. It is literally the sum total of human digital curiosity, scraped from every corner of the internet and fed straight into the machine.
To really wrap your head around the scale of what we're pouring into this funnel, think about a deeply human concept. Let's take love. How do you teach a machine what love is? I mean, you obviously don't give it a heart. Instead, you give it 10 million classic romantic sonnets and, about 50 million highly dramatic, angry breakup tweets, right? And that 50 million is just a fraction of the raw, messy, highly emotional human data training these systems. The machine isn't feeling a thing, but it learns the precise shape of human emotion purely through sheer overwhelming volume and repetition. And this brings us to a really vital distinction: true understanding versus pattern recognition. Look, an AI does not know what a dog is in any physical sense. It has never felt soft fur, it's never thrown a tennis ball, and it has certainly never been woken up at 6 a.m. by a wet nose. It only knows that the sequence of letters DOG statistically appears very, very close to words like bark, fur, and leash. The mirror doesn't actually see the physical object out there in the real world. It just catches the digital light bouncing off of it through our text. So how exactly does the machine process all that bouncing light? This is where we enter what data scientists call vector space, which is basically a massive mathematical hall of mirrors. If you wanted to visualize it, picture a sprawling 3D galaxy floating in a perfectly dark room. But instead of stars, this entire galaxy is made up of words, concepts, and pixels. And they are all mapped out based on the exact mathematical distance between them. Let's break down how that 3D galaxy actually works in practice. Vector space maps language purely through math. It plots related words based on statistical probability across thousands of different dimensions. So the word king floats mathematically very close to the word queen. The word apple might float near banana in one dimension, but way over near computer in another. So when you ask an AI a question, it isn't thinking about the answer the way you or I do. It's simply calculating the most likely next word by navigating through this incredibly vast, multidimensional galaxy of dots. And the scale of these calculations? It is staggering. We're talking 175 billion parameters in some of the foundational models, and the newer ones are even larger than that. When an AI generates a response for you, it's utilizing upwards of 175 billion tiny mathematical weights, shifting and adjusting in microseconds just to decide what the next most plausible word in a single sentence should be. It's the math of us operating at a speed and scale that is genuinely hard for the human brain to even comprehend. Now, because this mirror is built entirely from our data, our historical writing, our intense internet arguments, our cultural trends, our digitized history, it naturally reflects our flaws. Human bias in the machine is not some malicious glitch. It is a mathematical inevitability. The historical biases, prejudices, and cultural blind spots that are already present in our writing, they get amplified in the machine's output. The AI simply cannot reflect a perfect, objective world because it can only ever reflect the messy, subjective, highly biased reality of the humans who generated the training data in the first place.
So you might be wondering, if this is all just a mirror reflecting historical data and inherent biases, how does it seem so incredibly creative? How can a mere reflection synthesize a brand new image, like, I don't know, a cyberpunk version of Van Gogh's Starry Night, or write a completely original song? It really feels like magic, but it's actually a brilliant process of creative distortion. The secret sauce behind AI creativity is something called interpolation. Basically, that's the mathematical estimation of new data points between known ones. Think of it like a massive collage effect. The AI acts like a superpowered DJ, seamlessly mixing a billion songs at once to generate a totally new beat. It finds the mathematical space between Van Gogh's swirling thick brushstrokes and the neon, rainy aesthetic of a cyberpunk city, and it just fills in the blanks. It's absolutely brilliant synthesis for sure, but fundamentally, it's still entirely derived from our original human inputs.
And because all of this synthesized art and text is interpolated from our collective digital footprint, it sparks a massive philosophical and legal question. Who actually owns the reflection? Is it the tech company that built the multi-billion-dollar algorithmic mirror? Or is it the millions of artists, writers, and everyday people standing in front of it, whose entire lifetimes of work were scraped up into the common crawl? It's a profound debate, and it's absolutely going to define the next decade of copyright, digital ownership, and human creativity. But there's a catch. As we walk through our tech-filled cities, constantly glued to our phones, interacting with algorithms and generating even more data, we are facing an existential threat to this entire system. We're entering an infinite loop, leading to a phenomenon computer scientists call model collapse. What exactly happens when the mirror stops reflecting pure, messy human data and starts reflecting itself? Well, this loop happens organically, and it's pretty dangerous for the models. Humans create original data, which the AI then uses to generate synthetic content. That AI-generated content, articles, images, code, gets quickly published all over the web. Eventually, the next generation of AI comes along, scrapes the web, and retrains on that very same AI content. It's a fast track to model collapse. The data essentially becomes inbred. It loses its human touch, its weird little quirks, its original spark, and slowly degrades into this bland, distorted version of a copy of a copy. This just goes to show how precious and fragile our original human data actually is. I want to pause for a second and just ask you something. Really think about it. If you could go into the Common Crawl right now and delete one part of human history so the AI never learned it, what would it be? It's a heavy thought experiment, isn't it? But it really emphasizes our deep, profound responsibility over the input data. We are actively writing the curriculum for the most powerful learning machine ever built. But look, understanding this mechanism shouldn't make us fearful. In fact, getting how the data mirror works should completely take away the fear. We are the architects here. The machine has no independent desires, there's no grand plan, no dark motives. The AI is only exactly as brilliant or as dark as the information we provide it. Embracing the architect's responsibility means recognizing that we are firmly in the driver's seat of what this technology eventually becomes. Ultimately, this all leads us to a pretty profound realization. The AI isn't coming for us, it is us. It's our greatest autobiography written entirely in silicon. So the next time an algorithm amazes you with a perfectly crafted answer or a stunningly beautiful piece of art, don't just think the machine. Realize that you are looking at the distilled collective wisdom of billions of humans beautifully compressed into a single mathematical response. Which leaves us with one vital question as we wrap up this explainer. What do you want the mirror to show tomorrow? Every post, every article, every piece of art we upload today directly shapes the reflection of tomorrow. So be incredibly intentional about what you feed the machine. Thanks so much for joining me on this deep dive into the data mirror.